What's going on, everybody? I'm Justin Thomas, your host, and this is Top Shelf Fandom. If you have not subscribed already, please make sure to do so. And if you are interested in supporting creativity, please check out the links and information below. And thank you to all my existing Patreons listed to the side here. All right, guys, we're going to jump right into Vikings Season 5B, Episode 19, What Happens in the Cave. This will be a recap and review, but also a prediction video for what's going to happen in not only the finale, but the final season itself. You can utilize a character like Floki in a number of ways, especially with Gustav Skarsgård starring as Floki. You can really do anything you want, essentially literally anything you want other than this. This just fell short on so many levels. It's just my opinion, but I know most fandoms with me on this one. So ever since Helga died, Floki's been struggling to find a purpose in his life. He thought he found this when he found Iceland. He thought Iceland was literally made by the gods themselves. He believes his gods are the true gods, and essentially his whole thesis on life has been crapped on ever since he got to Iceland. Floki found this cave at the end of episode 18, so what does Floki do when he finds a cave? He does what I wouldn't do. He goes in that damn cave. It's never a good idea. People always get trapped in caves. There's no submarine coming from Elon Musk. You're pretty much on your own, or your fate, in Floki's opinion, is left up to the gods. So let's see how this works out for him. Floki, the most devout pagan in the show, was looking for a reason to continue living. He thought he found that with the island that was thought to have been made by the gods that he so fervently believes in, and then he went ahead and got a whole bunch of people he deemed acceptable, worthy, because of their strong pagan beliefs and their true way of living, to inhabit this very god island. They all slaughter each other. It's a horrible time all around for viewers and fictional people themselves. And then you go on one last hurrah through some fun caves. So as we see, Floki has found a Christian relic. So he's looking for meaning in his life. And his life is the life of a very devout pagan. So the gods are either trying to teach you something through sequence of just the worst events possible, or you're just gonna die. So it is Vikings, and we do love Floki, so let's hope that this is gonna be taken as the less logical testing by Floki. He probably will get out of this, carbon dioxide and all, and weight of all that rubble on top of him. He'll live, don't worry about it. And I do think that he'll continue on, and we won't see him continue on. And I have a decent reason for this that I think a lot of you will like. What else could he do in this story? What could he do for us as a character? He seemingly had no meaning in life. Well, you either kill him or you have a seer opening. I think you should fill the seer opening. And how do you do this? Well, you probably aren't going to show what happens here. And then you're going to go ahead and not show how he becomes a seer either. Just like how Bran Stark had a whole season off of Game of Thrones, just like how Luke Skywalker became a Master Jedi in a quick cave montage and then a whole lot of off-screen time. As every single token, wizard, and George R.R. Martin mythical or magical occult aspect goes, you don't give the fine details, exactly the step-by-step about how these magical and mysterious things work, because they're not magical or mysterious if you can explain them. So leave it vague. That's the best way to go. We probably won't see Floki, if he does become the seer, until one of the last episodes. It's actually my hope, and again, a huge Floki fan, that we just have him reappear in the very end, maybe speaking to one of the sons of Ragnar, and he appears as the seer. Most Icelanders do think that their land was found by Scandinavian people, so yes, you could say Viking. People went a Viking there, and that does seem to be the consensus. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have any skin in this game. I'm not trying to push an agenda. I have some links below that do have some evidence that maybe some relics like this could have been found, because Irish monks, who are really a mystery in history and have a real habit of showing up at real odd geographical locations that just doesn't seem accurate, but are, and it can be much, much further away than Iceland would have been for them. So I wouldn't discount this, and there is archaeological evidence, and there's also evidence for the Romans being there first, which makes a lot of sense. So it is what it is. That comes down to an argument of, do you want to believe somebody was there first, or who actually stuck around and then cultivated a actual society. So you run into the same issue when you talk about Rusland, the Baltic states, Ukraine, Russia, and so forth with the Vikings. They they reject that as well. So it is what it is. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole and look at the chalice and say, is that the Holy Grail? And number one, you have to ask yourself, do you believe there's a Holy Grail? And if you do, and you believe that's something that people were trying to hide in a cave somewhere, I have some cool information that's on the internet, because it's the internet and you can find anything that says there might have been some people that believed they knew of a grail and might have been in an area at that time, maybe. But people that are actually professors and are very well versed in that area, not just enthusiasts, will tell you that the Holy Grail is something that is the makings of a Dan Brown novel. It's not the goal of what the real Templars were looking to do. Yes, they did have relics that had a supernatural or superstitious vibe to them that they were definitely seeping out. The True Cross and so forth is a good example of that. But you actually rarely ever see a grail be mentioned in any accounts. It just wasn't something that they were focused on, that, people that were actively seeping out relics. So it's just symbolism here. It's just having Floki have a crisis of conscience, having another doubt. Everything here has been a test for him in his, mind, and maybe it is. Who's to say? So yeah, hopefully they can make something out of this crap show. So now we have the death of a queen, and I have been very vocal about how much I love Judith's character and how disappointed I was when they chose to go down the recent route they went with her, consolidate power for Alfred, but all of her actions were not in sync with that. It's Monarch 101 not to make one abdicate the throne, then give them the army. I mean, usually they're going to come back once they get an army and try to take it back. Don't give them that army. And also, if you have one son that's dying, you think he's going to die. Alfred looked like he was going to die. We have every reason to believe in this story that everybody was pretty sure he was going to die. Don't choose to kill the now redeemed spare heir around for that part, because he's also your kid. So I know you got the one favorite, so it is what it is. But I liked her character. She was the olive branch to the Danes. We had very few people in England that evoked empathy for us, so we kind of did have the Viking mentality. We wanted them all to get slayed. We didn't care. So she was one of the first to come around and give us these now common story threads, like we see with her son Alfred here and Ube. I really like that. I like when you see them work together and just be reasonable. I like, the fighting, of course, but it's like, hey, and then they want to get ahead. So I want to see stuff that, if you're not going to be historically accurate, I want it to be like reasonably believable as far as just common sense goes. So I like alliances that make sense. I don't mind seeing Ube get baptized and play ball with Alfred, because it paid off for him, right? And we'll get to him in a minute. But yeah, this is a little bit of a quick death for her, and it needed a little bit more pomp. I feel if they were going to have it be due to the breast cancer, I'm not a doctor, and I know they don't have modern medicine, but let's face it, they told us last episode that she had a lump and now she's dead. It just is what it is. But she was definitely utilized. Lagertha needed to come in and find strength when Judith was weak, just like Judith came in and was strong for Lagertha, and they kind of are like kindred spirits. There's a reason to believe that there's not much time to spend on anything else with her, and they weren't really utilizing her in an intelligible way anymore. Definitely an interesting character. Yearning for knowledge, breaking down some social constructs and learning the illuminations, that power through some unsavory ways. But hey, she also paid the price for a lot of stuff. So the real life counterpart to Judith is the second wife of Aethelwulf, and she is not Judith from Northumbria. She is Judith of Flanders, and she is the daughter of King Charles the Bald, who we see, and he's the king in Paris when they raid, and Gisela's dad. So she's more akin to her. She also was a little bit of an unsavory person in her real life. She actually did get married to her second eldest son. After Aethelwulf died, she marries the heir apparent. So couldn't go down that route. Sometimes characters either leave the show or die or get them somewhere else in order to progress the plot. It sadly needed to be done. It just should have been done with a softer touch. So there's some things that you just have to sacrifice in the writer's room. Hearst makes some weird decisions by keeping people that should be dead, and guy dies in real life, and keeping him around in the show causes problems. Give him his real life death in battle. Don't keep him around. It just doesn't make sense. To be nice, a lot of the characters seem rather plain, but Ube is a character that's actually not glorified by Hearst, but does great things. All the other ones that are glorified, characters that are supposed to be smart. We're told they're smart, we're told they're clever. Characterization is smart and clever. True character is an idiot. Ivar isn't clever. The cleverest thing he's ever done is the sewers at York, which was clever. Sewers shouldn't be your legacy. Hopefully he gets dropped down. And just like this guy was a bitch at York, right? He bitched out. Vitchek literally jumped ship from him, but we see that downfall and we see him learn from that, and we have empathy for him. He seems like a real person. Yes, this probably will help his fame and his legacy, but let's face it, what's going against him here a lot? Number one, this guy is the leader of all these other badass warriors, so he ain't no joke. He's not part of this decision for no reason, and they also believe they were fated. The pagans would believe that the Valkyries already knew who they were going to be picking up dead off the battlefield to bring to Valhalla before the battle started, so what your stance with the gods was very important to them. So we see him make a political move and change over to Christianity, but we got to really put some weight behind that for him. That's a big decision. So one thing I want to bring up here, because when we're doing predictions, it's important to understand who is inspiring the creators. A already spoken word source account, meaning like it's pretty much already a campfire story that now you're taking liberties with. So really inspired by multiple warriors from about the 8th century till about the 13th, it seems that he draws from. Right now, Ubba is really just the embodiment in every way of Guthrum, who I'm also going to call Guthrum and do it interchangeably, so anybody that wants to have a go at me in the comments for mispronouncing something, can first off fuck off, and second off, equal opportunity for those who think they say it right. So anyways, who is Guthrum, you might ask? Well, Guthrum is who you would be considering the main antagonist if Alfred the Great had a movie. I'll put it that way. He gave Alfred his darkest hour when he broke the treaty that he had with Alfred, in which he got East Anglia after he was baptized, sounding familiar, and gave allegiance to Alfred, just as Ubba has. Guthrum established Danelaw, territory within what we now know to be England, that is ran by the Vikings, the Danes. So it's taxed within them, it's ran within them with their courts and their system of government through and through. So this right here is essentially what's been set up. He has gotten baptized for this. He has fought in this combat for this. And he is embodying the man that is, in the sagas, as well as sourced in the accounts from the Saxon side. Now, Ubba, it's fair to say that is essentially... his story is great as well in the sagas, but he is always with Guthrum anyways, and his story is almost, if you look at his timeline, just essentially the guy that was with Guthrum the whole time. It's another Guthrum timeline. If you go look at major historical events that he is supposed to be a part of, it's all with Guthrum. So you have already a pretty close connection, and fair to say who's to know what was accomplished by who, but Guthrum got the notoriety, and he was not a son of anyone great. He didn't even claim to be a Ragnar son. So Ivar is embodying Eric Bloodaxe with the slaying of his family and this constant strife with the brothers and the hierarchy of Kattegat, which is a kind of a silly place to want to be king of, because it's not really a place you would have been king of. It's not really a place at all. Little sliver of land between Jutland, but what it does is embodies where our characters came from. It really embodies all of Norway for some silly reason, but I'll take it. Point I'm getting at is we're not going to see what's going to happen with these characters by the accounts. I don't think we're going to see Ireland. I don't think we're going to see Scotland. We haven't so far. Look into Eric Bloodaxe, look at his actions, and take what you will from that. And Guthrum is from the same era. They're depicting the same period in which Guthrum was alive. Probably see a shared portrayal of these events. I don't imagine they're going to leave out Guthrum attacking Alfred, it almost just slaughtering him and his whole family and most of his army in Wessex. But it is not a time when people would attack. It was the holiday. It came out of nowhere. They were aligned, just like Ubba is. He ran him into the marshes of Somerset. So I hope we see that. And it would make sense for me to see a Ivar do that. And I mean an Ivar that loses in the next episode and has some damn humility, starts to prove his greatness and his cleverness, not just say things, convey it. So I'd like to see that chess game play out, because we're going to see it play out. But as of right now, Ivar has no reason to have me believe that he should win or he could win, other than Michael Hurst. It seems like Vitali is awesome and smart, but doesn't ever do anything that's smart or awesome. He's just a dumb prick. So I think he needs to lose in the next episode, and we're going to jump into that and see how he could lose, and how could he lose in a way that gets him to England, gets him into that chess match.